Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome. So great to see you this lovely August afternoon. And so great to see some new faces. I think you are all in store for a really great session full of learning and collaboration today. And we all are especially excited for this session because it's the last one before we actually make PTHV week happen. Yes, Brittany. By way of introduction, I am DeQuendra Neely Bertrand. I'm Communications Director here at PTHV. I will be a resource to you for external promotion of PTHV week activities. And I am going to ask my colleagues on the call to also introduce themselves as well as our speakers. So I'm going to start by popcorning over to Rachel.
Thank you, DeQuendra. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Bryce. I'm the Program Director for Parent-Teacher Home Visits. I just want to kind of give a big shout out and thank you to all of you. I know it is still summer break for most of our partnering schools and districts from across the country. So this was a big ask to have you join us, and we're delighted to see you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to popcorn on over to one of our panelists, Trevin Brandhorst. Trevin.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be here again as well. This is Trevin Brandhorst from Denver Public Schools, and I'm the Senior Manager of Empowerment and Engagement. And I will pop it over to Yesenia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Trevin. My name is Yesenia Ramirez. I am one of the founding parents of Parent-Teacher Home Visit. I'm really happy to be here with all of you. I will turn it over to Rochelle.
Thanks, Yesenia. Hi, everyone. My name is Rochelle Salonia, and I am a coordinator in the Department of Family School Partnerships here in Washoe County School District, and I oversee parent-teacher home visits. And I'll pass it over to Brittany.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Brittany. I'm the Family Empowerment and Academic Partnership Coordinator for Denver Public Schools, and I coordinate the PTHV program here. And I will popcorn over to Gina.
Thank you, Brittany. Hi, everyone. My name is Gina Martinez-Ketty. I'm the Executive Director of Parent-Teacher Home Visits, and really glad that you're all here today. Thank you.
All righty. We also have a team member, Ali Paia, who is manning the deck, and there she is. All righty. Just a heads up, we are recording this call. And today we're going to share lots of resources about PTHV week. And we will also share the slides and a link to this recording following this meeting. So shall we move to our next slide, please?
Do you see the housekeeping up, DQ?
I do. Thank you very much. All righty. As we begin, it would be great if everyone would type in your name, organization, and your role in the chat box. We'd love to learn who's with us here today and perhaps some of the things that you are planning to do for PTHV week. So if you would go ahead and place that in the chat box, that would be terrific. And I'm also going to invite everyone to continue to make use of that chat box as we go through today's session. It would be great if questions surface for you, if answers surface for you, if any wonderings come to mind, please don't hesitate to use that chat box. This is meant to be a service to you and be able to help you fulfill your needs for a PTHV week. I will ask that unless you are speaking, please keep yourself on mute because we are recording this. And if possible, it would be great if you can keep your video on throughout the webinar. It'd be very helpful for our speakers. And please, if you are on social media, it would be wonderful if you would share any of your aha moments, your takeaways on social media. Please mention at PTHVP. to keep us in the conversation and make use of our hashtags, which are hashtag PTHV week and PTHV turns 25. Righty. That is it for the housekeeping, and we're going to move on to our goals today. So we want you to leave here prepared to host your PTHV week, right? We want you to be aware of the resources that are available to you. So this is your celebration. So this session is designed to increase your sense of ownership about how you're going to actually implement PTHV week and how you're going to do the celebration. And again, it's all yours. We're here today to collaborate and learn. So you will hear from 2 districts and you will hear their plans and identify activities that might be able to work well in your context. We want you to be able to finalize your plans today across various PTHV week components. And again, we will constantly remind you of key milestones, deadlines, and resources available to you. So next slide, please. Alrighty. I do see some new faces, so we did want to take a little bit of time to talk about, what PTHV week is all about. So this is a special observance where we are inviting districts and schools, individual schools across the country to celebrate 25 years of authentic trust building home visits. PTHV is turning 25 this year, and PTHV week is an outgrowth of our desire to celebrate that and bring greater attention to the power and the outcomes that are associated with home visits. So our overarching vision for this week is to promote home-school partnerships at the national level, as well as to support communities like yours to advance your own local home visit practice. We have 4 major goals, which are listed here. Very quickly, we want to celebrate you. We want to celebrate educators and families and communities who prioritize this relationship building work. We want to generate awareness for your PTHV practice, as well as the national PTHV week. I'm sorry, Yes, just watching the chat there. We want to generate awareness at both the local and national level. We also want to encourage schools and districts to conduct as many home visits as possible. And we want to, show our work and see how well we did. We want to evaluate and share the impact of what happened during PTHV week. And we want to do this again next year. So we know that we will invite you back again. So that's it for our PTHV week. Before we move on, really quickly, I just shared our goals around PTHV week. I would love to hear from all of those who are on the call about what your goals are. Maybe if you could share in the chat anything you've identified for what you want to accomplish with celebrating PTHV week this year. So if you would please share that in the chat. And while you're doing that, I am going to hand things over to Trevin and Brittany from Denver Public Schools, who have done this before. So we've got a lot to learn from them. So over to you, Trevin.
Thank you very much, DeQuendra. Glad to be here again and be able to share some of the practices and history and plan for Denver. I'm going to give a little bit of the razzle. Brittany's going to follow it up with the dazzle of where we're going to go this year. So we'll start with a brief history, a little arc of home visit in Denver. So we're actually going to start in 2011, which is after our program started. We had such great alignment between our superintendent and Board of Education at the time that they actually created a PTHV proclamation and really making sure that our communities and our city knew that this is a strategy that we want to use to build great relationships with our families. You'll see in 2015, just a few years later, we had our first home visit week, we're really proud of being some of the pioneers for this. It went so well that a few years later, we implemented a spring home visit week. And that's just because our district is so big that we weren't able to capture all of the awareness, the recognition, and the celebration that we wanted to see in just 1 week. And so we wanted to create more space for that. As we all experienced, around 2020, we went through the pandemic. It opened up how we did visits in terms of the virtual being an opportunity. And now we're coming into this year and we have an opportunity for the national program to use this and to make this a best practice for folks around the nation to support you in how you raise awareness, how you raise recognition, and how you celebrate your educators and leaders across the district. I think those are 3 really important pieces because a lot of times we feel like we're the only ones doing this work. I'm the only educator building these relationships. I'm the only leader who's making this program happen. And that awareness just helps us show our educators, our leaders, and our families that this is a space and a strategy that exists that we want to use. It's really important to recognize the collective impact. Recognition of people is super important. But we like to focus that on more of our celebration, our uplifting, and how we show that love for our educators and our families who are using this practice consistently. So with that, I want to kick it over to Brittany to bring that dazzle of where we're going to go this year with our PTHV Home Visit Week celebrations.
Thank you, Trevin. There we go. So for the dazzle side of things, really, I'm going to talk to you kind of about how to prepare, what to do during, what we do during PTHV, what we plan to do after. And I think the success of PTHV is really that preparation piece, which I feel like is a lot of success behind a lot of things. But so my first thing that I plan on doing and piece of advice is meeting with site coordinators ahead of time. So 4 to 5 weeks ahead if you have site coordinators, and giving them a heads up that this is coming up and giving them the plan and expectations for that week, maybe a few creative goals, and then give them necessary promotional materials. So I gave an example here of a flyer that this is more for, sorry, this is more for educators and staff in buildings to promote PTHV week towards them. But you also want to create promotional material that's also that's family facing. So I just wanted to show you an example of what it looks like to provide a school facing flyer. And it's important to go ahead and give those as much in advance as you can because schools are also promoting their own events that are coming up. And so making sure you're giving that big enough window so they can mesh that into their communication plans that they already have. Something that we're also planning on doing here for PTHV week at DPS is a school leadership challenge. And so we're really challenging our principals and assistant principals to go on 5 visits during PTHV week to earn a leadership champion certificate. And that's really just to encourage leadership to show their investment more to their staff and educators that are a part of home visits, and to encourage those who aren't participating yet to go ahead and give it a try. And then I would also just suggest sending weekly reminders. So after you have that meeting in 4 to 5 weeks ahead, sending them those reminders with those same attachments, letting them know to continue to promote that and to remember that it's still coming up and to keep them motivated for what's coming. And so now I'm going to kind of move in and talk about what to do during PTHV week. And during PTHV week, it is all about social media updates. Because as you know, it's already happening, right? Everything's going, it's in place, and it's really just keeping the excitement going. So if you have some sort of social media account where you can do a daily post, that's what I would suggest, and that's what I plan on doing. And it could be highlights of visits that are happening that week, maybe different PTHV facts and from your district, and then nationally as well, and benefits. Like, for example, for us, did you know that DPS was the first district in Colorado to practice PTHV? And just creating those interactive posts online to continue the excitement throughout PTHV week. Something that I'm doing is providing my site coordinators with a folder where they can upload selfies from visits, and I can use those in my posts to catch people's attention and to keep people updated almost live of how it's going and what it's looking like. And then looking at after PTHV week, it is all about celebrating. So making sure you're taking the time to celebrate all those staff and educators and families who participated in PTHV week. And so some ways you could do that is through a school staff spotlight. or a site coordinator MVP. And so I have a newsletter that I send out. And then we also have district newsletters as well. And so really making sure you're doing a shout out to those people about, you know, they really stood out from the crowd, what made them stand out, and making sure you're giving that recognition to those who worked really hard during PTHV week. Making sure you're doing, if you do a school leadership challenge, maybe having a school leadership recognition, that's what we're doing. And then we also do a top school recognition. So our top 3 schools are working towards some sort of incentive for doing the most visits in PTHV week. Another piece is communication, right? Sharing all of those things through social media, district newsletters, and if you're able to, local news outlets is a great way to celebrate staff and educators and families as well. And then something that DPS is planning on doing this year, and it's not right after PTHV week, but it's at the end of year, we're going to do an end of year recognition week. So something we do here at DPS, we do a fall PTHV week, a spring PTHV week, and then I also plan on ending the year with just a recognition week where we spend the entire week recognizing as many people as we can who participated in our success from that school year. And maybe that's something that you would want to consider for your district. And maybe it's not a whole week, but maybe there's a certain day at the end of the year where you just want to take that time to do that recognition. But we just found it really important to really help, because I'm sure we're all working our way out of the pandemic and really trying to reconnect with more of our families through home visits this year. And so I'm hoping that will help really get the ball rolling and get people excited to be a part of it again. So that is DPS's plan for fall PTHV week this year.
Thank you, Trevin and Brittany. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask Rochelle to share a little bit about Washoe County School District's plan and some of the thinking behind their efforts. So Rochelle.
Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, Trevin and Brittany, for sharing all the ideas you have. We are definitely going to try to bring some of those ideas to life in Washoe, because you guys have it all down and this is brand new to us. So Washoe County School District, we've been doing home visits for the past 12 years, and this will be the first year our district will celebrate home visits through PTHV week. It's the first time we're ever going to have a full week the district can recognize home visits. And we really want to get our families and teachers excited to do visits early on in the year, but also be intentional about building off of the work that's already been started. We want to use PTHV week as an opportunity to uplift home visits, as we have seen a bit of a decline in participation since the start of the pandemic. So for years, we celebrate and recognize our schools that participate in home visits. And we also award our schools with the most home visits, most participating staff, and best new school. And we also get to celebrate our teachers that go above and beyond with an award ceremony, which is followed by the end of the year mini conference. And we actually have one of our champion teachers on this meeting too, so Maureen Cahill. She did more than 15 home visits this year, and she also was able to get an award. So we are going to continue that, Maureen. So get your team on board this year. And we also highlight our teachers on social media, on our website, internally in our district. And we just know that the success of home visits is driven by the passion of our educators that make them happen. And so it's imperative to us to celebrate our champion home visit educators every year. With PTHV week, like I said, it's very new to us. And so we are really relying on DPS and their ideas for that support, and of course, national as well. We do have a new superintendent, Dr. Susan Enfield. She actually started in July. So she's excited to learn about the community and what we have done so far, the traditions and the cultural practices of our school districts, including home visits. So during school walkthroughs that she'll have this month and early next month, she'll be able to present PTHV School of the Year Gold, Silver, and Bronze awards. And that's a surprise. So Maureen, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say who the schools are yet. And so our hope is to help build momentum and excitement to get a home visit scheduled. And hopefully the rest of the leadership team will get on board to do a visit as well on PTHV week. We also wanna start early. The past few years, we've had kind of a late start getting trainings maybe in like September, October. So we are going to try to get more trainings in this month to help get teachers trained and ready for home visits. And so we also want to do promotional items. So if you see here on the screen, there is a banner on top. And on the bottom of that banner, it says, "Ask us about home visits." So all of the schools that are participating in home visits will either have a banner or yard sign to promote home visits at their school, especially during PTHV week. These banners and yard signs will be up. And we're also going to be giving teachers buttons that say "Ask me about home visits." So as they wear this button on their lanyard, their shirts, their badges, this will hopefully make families and students curious about home visits during PT week or parent-teacher conference week, open house, school drop-offs, or any other opportunities that families get face-to-face contact with school staff. So this is the plan to promote PTHV week and home visits throughout the year in general. We're hoping this will lift up home visits in our district, and we will also be relying heavily on national for support as well as Denver.
All right, sounds like a great plan, Rochelle, and we are so appreciative of having you come share with us today a little bit about your thought process as it relates to planning Washoe's Parent-Teacher Home Visit Week celebration. What really stands out to me is that you recognize that this is a new kind of activity for you and that you need to design it in such a way that it is really manageable yet impactful. So I think that whole approach of intentionally building off your existing outreach and award systems, that's just a really, really smart move that I hope others will kind of think about and consider as well. Now, I'm sure Rochelle, Trevin, and Brittany have all kind of spurred some deeper thinking amongst all of our participants about local celebrations. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions from the audience. So if you do have any questions or comments, or you just want to know a little bit more about Washoe or Denver's plans, please feel free to either post your question in the chat box, raise your hand, or we welcome you to just unmute yourself and kind of ask away. So do I have anybody who would like to go first? Trevin, do you have a question?
No, I was just like, I was trying to invite the questions through being especially friendly looking.
Yes, yes.
I think something similar to Rochelle is like we have a new superintendent as well, a newer superintendent, and it's really important to have that leadership buy-in, because when things are being communicated at all levels and they're being communicated the same way, you can really feel that across your district. And so just for folks, whether you have someone who really loved this program, like one of our former superintendents did, or you have someone who's brand new, it's about creating that space for them to feel it, to feel that excitement of building those relationships and to be able to talk about it as well. Because if they can talk about it at that high level, it's just a lot less that you have to navigate and to do to convince other folks. So just wanted to add that little piece.
That is a great observation, and I think it's a lesson learned for a lot of districts across the country right now. I think that leadership changes are happening very frequently. So I think that's a great kind of some sage advice from you. I do have a question that I've heard others ask previously. So I'll kind of kickstart some questions for Denver and Washoe as well. So Parent-Teacher Home Visits Week, I think you can go really splashy and have it be kind of there would be some expenditures associated with it, or you could go really like, you could take a more cost efficient, effective route. There's lots of approaches that you can take, but I'm wondering, how do you all fund your PTHV week activities?
Partially and thanks to great mini grant opportunities by the PTHV national program would be one way. But I think it again is that buy-in from leadership to really make sure that if this is a strategy that you have as a school or a district, that there's funding there with that, or they're being thoughtful about how to do that. And so I think for us, it's a lot of just really strategic partnering, making sure that we have budget set aside specifically for this. We work with DCTA, so our teachers union, to make sure that they're in alignment with what we're advocating for, that they like the rates that we're able to provide to our educators for the time that they're spending. And then I think that just having those advocates in those different spaces shows like the real value and the outcomes that come from this program. And so then it's for districts to really work together to create that budget and make it happen. Brittany, I saw come off.
Yeah, I was just going to add, sorry, before Rochelle, we also just work with community partners too. When I talked about our top 3 schools and the incentives we provide, we really try to do that off of donations that were given from local restaurants or something like that in order to provide that incentive. So we really here in Denver try really hard for PTHV weeks to be very minimal costs through working through those donation pieces and working with our local community partners, especially those smaller businesses and those family-owned businesses as well.
In Washoe, we've just been very blessed and lucky that we get all of our funding for home visits under Title IV currently. So it used to be Title I, and now we're funded under Title IV, which gives all of the schools in our district an opportunity to participate in home visits. And for things like the banners and the buttons and the awards, it comes from our general budget. We were able to actually get the awards or the lanyard, the banners and the yard signs because we had that shut down for a little bit where we couldn't do home visits. And so we had that extra money that from our general funds, so we were able to prepare for this year.
Thank you, everyone, for your responses there. I do see that Angelia had her hand raised.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be in this space with you guys. I'm from Sac City Unified School District, and I want to recognize Yesenia for her great work and Gretchen in her absence. I also sit on our board for the union, and so I will be going back after being on this in this space and advocating for more money for parent-teacher conferences. We do allow $3,000 in our budget, and so I think we need a little bit more, so I would advocate on that side. So I'm just glad to be in this space, taking some good notes, and I would like to share with our executive board and how we can join with Yesenia and Gretchen in our parent-teacher home visit. So lots of great ideas. I just was kind of unmotivated earlier this morning, and so hopping on now, my cup is being filled, literally. So I just want to thank you guys for the great ideas. I feel like I am so ready to go and just share with the other teachers at the the union space and also at my site, and how valuable home visits can be. I've been doing them for 20 years, and they strengthen everything about our community and relationship building. So thank you guys. I'm glad I clicked on and said I wanted to attend this space. So just hats off to you guys. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Angelia, for sharing and for being with us today. And that's what this is all about, is bringing everyone together for some shared kind of reflection and learning and collaboration. And on that note, we are going to pause questions. We will circle back and you will have time for additional questions. But right now, we are going to give you time to do some small group planning and prioritizing. Now, the reality is that some of you might be in that phase where you're putting those finishing touches on your plan. Some of you might just be getting started with your PTHV week planning. We know that several of you out there have really long-standing home visit practices, but there might be others who don't even have a practice, but they are really kind of ardent supporters of the home visit practice. So no matter what, we do just want to kind of uplift that everyone is welcome to PTHV week, and we want to encourage everyone to kind of take an active role in it. Now, with that said, we do have just over 1 month until our inaugural PTHV week. And that means we, the collective, the royal we here, we need to kind of hone in on our efforts, like what, and prioritize those efforts. So what we're going to do now, we're going to break you into groups of 4. Actually, I think we'll just do a couple of groups here, small groups, and there you're going to have about 15 minutes or so to address the prompts that you see here on the screen. And that is, what is just that one thing that if you do it, or that one question, if you have answered, that is going to make the biggest impact on your PTHV week. So go ahead, you're going to discuss as a group, do some problem solving if you need to, and then we'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. I do want to welcome everyone back. I agree with Trevin. I was in a breakout room that had a really wonderful, productive conversation with a lot of great ideas and solutions shared. I do hope that that exercise kind of allowed you all to think about what your next steps could be in a very real, intentional, and strategic way. Now, before we do begin our final wrap-up activities and instructions, I would love for us to kind of do one last waterfall chat to capture kind of that conversation that happened in the breakout rooms. So I want everyone to go ahead and answer the following question in the chat box. I do want to know, what is one action step that you are taking in preparation of PTHV week after today's session? So like, what's that one big thing that you're going to go back and do? And you can go ahead and enter that in the chat box. Let's see what everyone had to share here. Build advocates beyond our team and department. Absolutely. This is definitely relational work. Home visits itself, but also our celebratory activities. Reaching out to trained PTHV colleagues. Yeah, that communication piece is big. And I know we shared some resources for communication. Reaching out to new principals. Absolutely. Following up with your district PTHV coordinators and other champions. Yes, I think that is a big theme, is teamwork makes the dream work, and kind of working together and collaborating on your PTHV practice generally, but also around this celebration is really, really key to your success. So again, we are just so truly excited to kind of see and hear the results of all of your great work. I do want to remind you that Parent Teacher Home Visits National Office is also here to support you in your efforts. So now we're going to hit pause one last time to see if there's any kind of burning questions that you have after that kind of group brainstorming session that you have about Parent Teacher Home Visit Week that you kind of need National to answer, or one of your colleagues. So just go ahead, unmute yourself, put something in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, I see Joy has a question. How do we get funds for the week? So I would say, so our PTHV mini grant, that application window has closed and we've already issued our awards for that, but I would really encourage you to work with your district level. If you are not the district kind of PTHV coordinator, I would work with your PTHV coordinator to identify what resources are available, and then work together to identify what resources are needed, and then what resources you have at your disposal. And Brittany shared some great ideas of working with partners, donations, Rochelle also shared that, general operating funds tend to have a little bit more flexibility than title funds. So using a combination of resources to really be able to execute your PTHV week might be a good solution. Do we have any other questions here? No? Right. I'll give it just one more minute before we move to our timeline slide. All right. We can move on then. Allison, can you? I think it's 2 slides from here. Yep. All right. Again, I'm going to encourage you to reach out to us with questions as they kind of surface. As you can see here on our planning and implementation timeline, we do have several more virtual office hours that are set up for you to kind of use us as resources. The next one is set for tomorrow. These are drop-in Zoom events where you can just kind of come on in, ask questions, start bouncing ideas around, and just get some planning support. We are dropping a link to that in the chat box now where you can register to get that Zoom link, and then that Zoom link is good for all of the remaining virtual office hour sessions. Now, of course, September 19th through the 24th, that is PTHV week itself. But you can also see that we have some activities and tasks after PTHV week as a way to kind of wrap up and recognize efforts. As you can see here, we do have a window of time from September 26th through October 19th, where we're asking our partners to collect, aggregate, and share their home visit data with our national office so that first and foremost, we can really determine the impact of our collective efforts, but we're also planning to use that information to kind of determine which educators and which districts will be receiving some awards and prizes that are going to be handed out at our virtually handed out at our November 2nd PTHV week celebration and awards session. Just a quick note about that data reporting window. The directions on how to share that information with us is in our evaluation toolkit. We'll also be sending out some email updates and instructions to those district points of contact leading up to and following PTHV week. Now, of course, I'm sure you all identified some key steps in your planning, but we also plan to kind of put a list of suggested next steps in the next slide. We also have prepared a planning checklist, and this is the 3rd planning checklist. They are part of a series, and we're linking that in the chat box. It kind of follows along with what we discussed today. So I encourage you to kind of use those to help kind of guide your planning process. Now, looking at the next steps, I do want to remind each one of you, if you have not already done so, please go ahead and register for both. There's 2 things to register for: PTHV week itself, as well as our final PTHV week celebration session, which is November 2nd. We're going to go ahead and drop links to those registrations in the chat box. So please, like before you log off today, just kind of get it taken care of, and then you won't have to worry about it, and it'll kind of show up on your calendar. Next, we also encourage you to revisit your action plan. What tasks do you have that are remaining? Who will you enlist to kind of support your planning efforts? Have you thought about communications and outreach during PTHV week? What's your plan to collect the data? This last month or so is all about kind of tying up those loose ends to really make the most of your local celebration. And of course, during PTHV week itself, we want you all to really celebrate and enjoy. I know many of you kind of serve in behind the scenes roles. So we encourage you to kind of think about, what are you going to be doing yourself? What kind of activities are you going to kind of partake in during the week? one of those roles could be to be out in the field, listening to your educators, listening to your families, and sharing their PTHV week stories in order to kind of like broadcast the impact of their experiences to your stakeholders. Now, of course, parent-teacher home visits, we want to support your efforts. And so if you haven't already done so, please do follow us on social media and engage with us there, especially during PTHV week. We do have quite a large network of implementing schools and districts and partner organizations that we are friends with on social media. And so this is really an opportunity to amplify your local messages and stories to a broader audience. Lastly, we also ask that you share your data with us and be prepared to kind of offer us feedback and suggestions for future PTHV week celebrations. I know Denver has done this for years, but this is the first national observance, and it's the first of many to come, and we want to use your feedback to really continue to grow and improve our collective efforts. So like we've said, there is some guidance on how to do this in the evaluation toolkit that can be accessed on our website. That kind of outlines how you can share that information with us, but it also has additional tools and resources. For instance, there is a plug and play one-page impact report that you can take information from your PTHV week, and you can use that and share it with all of your stakeholders. So be on the lookout from that. Also be on the lookout for emails from me for those updates on new tools and resources as we roll them out. So now that we've done like a really, really rapid fire run through of some next steps, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Yesenia to wrap things up today and share some final thoughts and thank yous. So Yesenia.
Thank you, Gretchen. Gretchen, oh my goodness, I'm thinking about Gretchen. Thank you, Rachel. So for our next steps, one of the things that I just want to say today to all of you, and I apologize, my head is spinning. I've been dealing with some vertigo since yesterday, so I apologize if I sound a little incoherent. But I really wanted to take the time to, most importantly, to me, to thank you all for all the hard work that you're doing. For all you do. Parent-teacher home visit would not be what it is if it wasn't for all of you, all your hard work, all your support, all the home visits that you are helping out there and supporting everyone and conducting. So on behalf of all of us here and a lot of your families out there, thank you for all that you do. We really, really appreciate your time. Every single time that all your excitement, every single time we ask you to come along with us and do something, especially all of you, Trevin, Rochelle, Brittany, thank you for all your hard work, everything you guys do. It's incredible to me to see your passion for our families, for our communities, for our students, mostly because everything we do is for our students, with their benefit, with their future in our minds and in everything that we do, so they can be successful. So thank you so much. Rachel, I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Yesenia, and thank you everyone for being with us here today. And also thank you to those of you who may not have been able to join us but are watching on recording. We are just, again, I know I've said it several times already, but we are just really, really amped up and excited about PTHV week, and we are here to support you. Please remember to reach out to us. I don't know why, Allie, can you hit one more time? I think it's not showing up on the slide, but my contact, there we go. There we go. Please do visit our website, www.pthvp.org. There is a whole PTHV week webpage that you can access, and then feel free to reach out to me via email. I am here for you and helping you make your local celebration a success. So have a great afternoon, everyone.